Welcome to the Final Score Network and the Final Score Podcast, presented by Team Anders Realtors. I'm Andy. He's former NCAA student athlete and co-host.
Ryan, Cam, two-hand monster flush off the inbound. Ryan, Cam, slam, jam. Oh boy.
Find the TFS pod and our playlists wherever you stream your podcast or music. Follow us on X at TheFinalScore35. Oh, and one more note before we get started.
I'd like to apologize to anyone I've not offended yet. Please be patient. I'll get to you shortly.
Welcome into the 190th edition of the TFS pod. First time in a while we've had football on the screen while we're doing this podcast. We've got Monday Night Football on. It's a great time to be alive. NFL is full swing now. College, obviously, as well. And baseball done almost playoff time. Tigers only 3.5 back as we speak. So keeping it interesting. Didn't think they would do that. But cool. We can't watch it, but whatever. Nevertheless, we got a lot to talk about football-wise, just in sports in general. Looking forward to doing this again. 190. We're only 10 away from 200, which is pretty remarkable. In almost 4 years, it'll be in late December. So we're plugging right along, and we could not do this without you guys. So we appreciate you. All right, podium. The Lions game, I'll quick talk about it because we don't have a spot dedicated to NFL this week. We will start doing that next week. But just wanted to give a little analysis, rehash. The Lions obviously pull out a 26-20 overtime win, come from behind. Looked decent in spots on defense. Pass rush wasn't great. Hutchinson, once again, the most overrated player. I've never seen someone do stupider things and get people love him for it. It's annoying. The secondary wasn't terrible. I mean, can't fault guys that haven't played together and rookies the pass rush was horrible. Linebackers were pretty good. Special teams for the Lions was really good. Offense was not great until really, they had a good drive with when J-Mo had the long touchdown, and we'll get to him in a minute, but the last drive was vintage Lions. It's like they almost said, all right, stop messing around. Just pound Montgomery on the ground, get Gibbs involved a little bit. That was impressive. But Goff seemed a little off. I'm guessing it's because he has not played since San Francisco. A lot of those guys didn't play in the preseason, and I think that's why they played poorly on offense. The timing seemed off a little bit. Just no rhythm, really. So please next year just play 2 series. I don't even care if it's 2. Like in the years past they played a couple, so do it again. But Goff, he has moments, but he is what he is. Had a nice scramble season for Jared. Gibbs looked good. Montgomery really solid. St. Brown didn't really get targeted much. It's kind of weird. Laporta, same thing. And J-Mo, we talked about him this summer, and I think he's arrived. That's I'd say 4 of his last 6 games that he's played in, he has played pretty terrifically, and this is his first 100-plus yard receiving game. He looked really, really good in all facets of the game, blocking, running the ball on an end around and running his routes and scoring. So that's a great development for the Lions. I think they'll be all right. Beat a Ram. Stafford played really well. Obviously lost Puka. But Cooper Kupp is pretty unbelievable, and they have some other good targets as well. And Stafford did it with the Lions for all those years and made them look good. So he makes the Rams look good with a better roster than the Lions ever had. But good win for the Lions, 1-0. Not going to apologize for winning a game against a team that's presumably a playoff team next year or this season. So we'll take it 1-0. Keep moving on.
Yeah, it's kind of the Lions' MO, right? The way they operate. They don't quit. They don't give up. I meant to look it up. This is not my podium, but I meant to look it up, actually. When's the last time Michigan State won? Michigan got not only lost, but got absolutely slapped. Notre Dame lost, and the Lions won on the same weekend. You'd probably have to go to Michigan State beating Michigan and Notre Dame randomly losing, the Lions randomly winning. I meant to look it up today and I lost track of time.
Crazy.
Maybe at some point during the pod I'll try to do some research and figure it out, but I guarantee it's been a while. on the heels of Ryan and the NFL, since we'll bring the NFL segment back to life next week on the pod for the rest of the NFL season, I will go to the length of the college game versus the NFL game. Another topic that we've talked about here before, I'm sure, on the pod. College games are just, push 4 hours long. And there was an NFL game under 3 hours the other day. And the Lions-Rams game was on the way to being under 3 hours there for a bit, until it got a little bit tighter and, more stuff was going on in the game. And I get it. Sometimes there's other factors, right? If the clock is moving, it's a big running type of game or whatever. But the NFL has got it figured out. And if the college game is so hell-bent on copying them, a.k.a. the 2-minute timeout, quote, air quotes, because they don't want to call it the warning. Don't call it a warning. We don't want to be just like the NFL. We don't want to rip it off. Give me a break. Centralize your replay. Give coaches a challenge. I get it. College refs tend to suck, which we'll get to in a minute in the flag. Probably more so even than the NFL refs. Make it a profession for college, and then go to all the same rules the NFL then, minus the stupid kickoff rule. They kind of already injected the running clock stuff, the clock resets, even when the ball goes out of bounds, at a certain, until a certain point in the time when the clock stays stopped. There's ways to trim the game. And I'm sorry, but the NFL packages cost just as much money as the college TV packages. I get it. There's more teams, so therefore probably more leagues maybe, but regardless, find a way to make your game shorter. College football games for a fan experience should not be almost 4 hours long, let alone when you're there in person, but even when you're watching on TV at home. 3:30 is a maximum amount a game should be, and really, the NFL has it right. Most of their games, I bet you, on average, are right around 3:15 on the nose, give or take a minute or two. They deliver without fail. They know how to keep the game moving. That's the way to do it. So college, if you're going to mimic the NFL so closely, start paying attention to the game times, because I'm getting really, really tired of games that are elongated by that much when you review that many plays because you make that many bad calls. Figure your stuff out. Put the money towards getting officials to be full-time, and then move forward from there.
Yep. All right. Flag this week. I'll set it up, and you can while we're going to do the officials. Officials in college football have been horrible this year so far, and especially in this Oregon-Boise State game this past weekend. Might have cost an upset.
Yeah, I mean, Oregon came nowhere close to covering in that game. Won, 27-24 or 30? But they won by 37-34. They won by 3 points. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, go back and watch it, and then tell me you disagree. I didn't see it live. I saw some hubbub on, Bleacher Report and whatever after the fact, and then I finally saw it on TikTok today. What an egregious, epic failure. The guy ran it presumably for 100, well, they counted it as a 100-yard touchdown return on a kickoff for Oregon. I get it. It's exciting. It's electric, whatever. The refs on the field blew the call, and even more egregious, the refs in the replay booth backed it up and confirmed that it was a touchdown. You go watch that video and tell me that he did not let go of that ball at the latest at the half-yard mark, but probably closer to a yard or a yard and a half out, where that ball is starting to come out of his hand and is away from his fingers with at least a half a yard before the end zone. That's a fumble. That's not a touchdown. I'm not saying that was the game-winning play, because there's other plays to be had in that game, but that's a huge momentum swing. It was right after, obviously, Boise scored, or maybe it was the start of the second half. I'm not really sure when the kickoff was, but either way, it was a momentum swing, and it was blatantly wrong. That's why we have replay, is to get those right, and you can't tell me, because they confirmed it. They didn't say the call in the field stands. If you say the call in the field stands, it's because you don't have an angle that you don't think gives you the right ability to make the call accurately. They said it was confirmed. Go watch it. It was right down the line, the video that I saw. It was indisputable evidence that he fumbled the ball. Now, was there a clear recovery? I don't know. I didn't see beyond that point. I'm going to guess somebody jumped on it, probably for Boise, because there's a lot of hubbub about it. But there's just no excuse for that type of mistake, especially when you have replay involved. And then let's keep on the refs. The Colorado-Nebraska refs were equally as abhorrent in different ways, but just awful. Now, I don't care when they call stupid stuff against Colorado because I'm so tired of Colorado, but it was horrible officiating. And I'm praying that those weren't Big Ten refs. They should have been Big 12 refs because the road team usually brings the refs. But officiating, poor officiating is an epidemic worse than the COVID epidemic ever was.
Yeah, terrible. It's terrible in college basketball also. All right. Get to 4 downs here. This will probably be our last golf segment for a little bit. We have a couple course reviews. Let's real quick touch on the match that they came out with late last week. A little PGA Tour versus Live action. Scotty Scheffler and Rory McIlroy will take on Bryson DeChambeau and Brooks Koepka at the Wynn in Las Vegas. I think it's gonna be in December, if I remember correctly.
You'll have that thing spray painted green because everything's dead in Vegas at that time of the year.
Could be interesting, but I don't understand why it's Rory. Why isn't it Schauffele? Schauffele's the best player, second best player on the tour right now. Why Rory's a choke artist? Didn't do anything this year.
Hasn't done anything in a while.
No, but whatever. It should be fun, entertaining. Brooks is obviously fun to watch, and Bryson has become that the showman. Kind of on tour when he's playing in these in the majors at least, and obviously Scotty is just an unbelievable player, and Rory just a hyped up guy for the last 15 years. So looking forward to that. The Wynn's a really cool course, right off. I think it's like a block and a half off the strip or something. Pretty crazy. And then course reviews. We played a couple new ones. One new one for me, two new ones for you. Went to Lansing area, played Hawk Hollow and Eagle Eye. We'll start with Hawk Hollow because we played that first. Really fun track.
Yeah, good courses.
Really
highly
nice.
recommend.
Really good shape. It was fair but challenging.
Mm-hmm. We played the kind of the blue white, so it was the the 129-ish slope. So not overly long or overly like a lot of tricky necessarily shots, but you had to keep the ball in play. You had to keep it in front of you, tight but not unfair. Lots of decent amount of water, yeah. But yeah, course was in good shape. Kind of a fun little layout. The last 2 holes coming home were particularly beautiful.
Cool.
A fairly
cool.
good length par 3. The water wasn't really in play, but it was right there, kind of a giant, almost like a lake.
If you're a slicer, it's in the water.
Yeah, kind of a big lake with the green tucked there, and then the last hole, water all down the right.
Amazing golf hole.
Traps sprinkled on the left, so you had to be pretty accurate. I don't know, Ryan, I'll ask you this question as a faux mailbag question. Would you rather get blown out by Dad in a match or lose the way you lost that match?
Probably get blown out. That was tough.
So I was at set the scene. 18th hole. Ryan is actually up 1 on me, which minus an abbreviated round due to rain, where he was playing the lights out and beat me for 9 holes, and I think we tied a
couple times.
He might have beaten me at like 3 tops. So the only 2 times he's beat me this year were 9-hole times, because he's been staying with me for 9-hole stretches for sure, but usually then I kind of stay consistent and he'll have some blow ups. So Ryan was playing really well in the back 9. I had gone he went up on me, and then I came back, and then I just had 2 doubles with the ball in the middle of the fairway, just inexcusable doubles with just brain farts. So he hits a great shot on 16 or on 17. I hit a good shot on 17. We both par. His lag was way better than mine. I made a pretty good comebacker to tie par. So I'm down 1 going in the last hole. Both you went first, right? Yeah, because you had the tee. You put your ball into one of the bunkers on the left, so I knew, okay, let's just keep this in. I'd been kind of pushing my drives a little bit, but keep it in play, and I just need to make a par, and he needs to make a bogey, and I'll take a tie. That's fine. So I stripe a drive, hit it really, really well. Ryan had no option really but to safely lay up, which he did. He took his medicine and laid up smartly to 50 yards or something like that. So I'm sitting 113 out with a wedge. Mind you, the last time I had a wedge on my hand was a couple holes before from 113 out, and totally bladed it left of the green and ended up taking a double. So with that thought in my mind, and about 12 guys for some reasons crowded around the last green, I don't know if we got in the middle of a big outing or something, but an audience, I hit a shot that I knew was good. It felt good. I told it to go. You couldn't see you could see the top of the flag, but you couldn't see the bottom of it. And I knew I was probably on the green, or at least had a chance for par. And then all of a sudden, a bunch of arms go up. They're like, dude, you made it. Hole out, walk off, eagle to win the match.
Insane. I've had like one eagle in my life, and you have like...
that was, I wish I could have seen it go in, but that was a fun way. And I carried it on Eagle Eye, which, by the way, I will say Eagle Eye I haven't given it a ton of thought since then, but is easily in my top 5 in Michigan.
Yeah, that's a phenomenal golf course.
That's a great course. Fun, difficult,
Tricky.
but fair. Great thoughtfulness into the way that the course is laid out. I mean, they've got the replica of Sawgrass at 17. 2 great 9 and 18 are great par 5s. Water down the left on 9, water all the way down the right on 18. Both are, they're gettable in 2-ish, depending on the wind. My problem is I had a good line on it on 9, but I decided smartly to lay up, and I made a par. On 18, I decided to grip it and rip it and put it in the water and took a 7. So that just will tell you, play the Scotty route, the average. That's how they say Scotty got to be so great, as he got average before he got great.
Yeah.
Making smart decisions like that. But anyway, unbelievably great course.
Yeah, it's a good mix.
Yeah, good, just a
Length,
fun
short
mix.
holes.
Yeah. Nothing like tricked out, but visually appealing. Water,
Dip
tons
rough.
of fescue, not really a ton of trees. A few trees, I guess. On
Yeah,
the
there's
back
some
nine,
holes,
but some holes.
The
But
front's all links.
a couple of amazing par 3s.
Yeah, all the
And
pars
even
are
the short
good.
par 4s are great because they're littered with sand traps.
Yeah, or like
So
the
you
one
gotta-
that has the kind of volcano top green.
Yeah. So you got to be able to, you got to be able to make smart shots. But if you've not played it and you get into Michigan to play it, I'm definitely going to play it again soon. I mean, Arcadia is number 1 for me by far. Forest Dunes is number 2. I mean, I might put it 3.
I think it's good Pilgrims. Or better than
I think it's better than Pilgrims. I mean,
think
we
it's
played
close.
Pilgrims last week. I like Pilgrims a lot, but I thought it was better. I think Pilgrims is still like probably top 5 to 7 for me, but I'm trying to think of what else would be better than.
American Dunes.
Yeah, I mean, I would put it kind of on par with American Dunes. I think they're both they could be interchangeable in the top 5.
Yeah, I mean it's
A lot
great.
of times you'll see Stoughton-Bray highly rated. It is way better than Stoughton-Bray.
way better.
Way better than
Stoughton-Bray's
Stoughton-Bray.
not that great.
There's some good trees. Some of the
Treetops
courses are good too, but I don't know. I just something about the course, and I think the way that it was laid out. I thought it was super visually appealing.
Yeah, I agree with you. It was a fun one.
Yeah.
All right.
First Down was presented by Norris Sports Group. NSG is a boutique agency of experts with 30 plus years of experience in sports sponsorship and much more. Learn more about them today at norrissportsgroup.com. Saw that Bill was LinkedIn posting about the Coaches Trophy being at the Michigan game, which we'll get to in a little bit. But I couldn't like that. Sorry, Bill, because I'm anti where that trophy was. But always good stuff from NSG. So that is First Down in golf. That's the sunset of golf for this season, and we'll replace it with the NFL going forward. So let's go to mailbag. I'll start with the one that I got from Chris, which is super interesting. Now I got to find it again.
Chris's first. And then
Yeah, we'll do Chris's first. So Chris sends me this last week, says, for the pod, can a batter be called out on an intentional walk? If so, how? And then there was, of course, a story that went with it with a video. But so, Ryan, I'm going to ask you the question. I know the answer now because I watched the video.
Are you saying, do I say yes or no?
Well, what do you think? Can a batter be called out on an intentional walk? If so, how?
I mean, I feel like the answer is, it should be no, but I feel like the answer is yes. I don't know why.
So in this game, the answer is yes. I would have said like no. How? I think it looks like maybe Miami.
It's like a
I'm
ball.
going to TikTok. It was Miami last week against the Cubs. So So he intentional walks, you just put up the 4 signal, and now they don't even throw the 4 pitches anymore. It's just a walk. Well, as he's running to first base, this is how. He never touches first base because they send in a pinch runner. And something alerted the Cubs manager to go, if that doesn't seem right, he didn't touch the base. I don't know if that means he's out or not, because he didn't know the rule, but he challenged it and he won. Because he was right.
Heads up.
The guy, so Ryan gets intentionally walked and he goes to first base. In the meantime, Andy's coming out to pinch a run for him because, that would happen in real life.
Probably.
And Ryan never touches first base, so the Cubs throw it to first base and he's out because the guy never touched first base.
That's crazy.
Is that crazy?
That is kind of wild.
A little bit of a wild guess by, the manager, but I thought that was super interesting. If you want to see it, it was on TikTok. He got out from an intentional walk. Look it up. It's super interesting because they go into explaining it. But
very interesting.
Yeah, just a very, because not that we talk about baseball very much, but just a very odd thing for sure.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
Update: Jets are up 7-3 on the Niners.
Good drive. All right, let's do some Palooza. Mitch sent me 3, so
nice.
Shout out, Mitch. Childs to Marsh is as good of a potential connection since blank.
Oh. Smoker to Rogers.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna say Cook to Burbridge.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I mean, the potential there. We'll get to it more later, but it's pretty scary. If they can just keep it going.
Smoker was a really good quarterback. I think Childs has a higher ceiling than Smoker did. Rogers was an ungodly athlete receiver. But, by all accounts so far, Marsh has the size and the speed.
He's 6'3", he's a big guy.
He outran Maryland on the game-tying touchdown, which was pretty incredible. But good. That was a good one, Mitch. I like that.
Second one, what is more likely outcome? MSU beats Iowa or MSU wins all 4 games down the stretch? I'm leaning more toward beating Iowa at this point because Illinois looks pretty good. And
Rutgers isn't bad.
No, Rutgers isn't terrible.
Indiana, Purdue. Indiana put up a 77 burger, but they're whatever. They're not that. That was against a Division III team, I think. I think Iowa. And we'll talk again about this more here in a little bit, but Iowa's not unbeatable. And honestly, I think there's more likely that Michigan State can beat Michigan even than Iowa, but at least Iowa's at Michigan State. So you're looking down the stretch. You got Indiana off, Illinois at Illinois, Purdue at home, Rutgers at home. So 3 of those 4 at home, but yeah, I think probably could be more likely that Michigan State beats Iowa and maybe loses at Illinois at this point.
Yeah.
That's if you believe preseason rankings anyway, because Kansas was ranked 19th, but based on what?
Right, exactly. Number 3, watching Montgomery bulldoze the Rams in overtime was as old school as it gets. Do you prefer old school football or new school air raid RPO? There's something about the Lions just lining up and say, we have bigger cojones than you do, and we're going to punch you in the teeth.
I think there's a place for a mix, which is what the Lions are, right? Like, they can do that.
They can do both,
which
is very aesthetically pleasing.
Probably not so much RPO as much as just a... But the Lions are more of a throwback because they're still a play-action team.
Very pro-style.
Stafford really is even play-action. They just run a lot of motion on you. I prefer that. I prefer the Lions style still. I think it's a more sustainable style. If you look at like the air raid and the RPO, you go back to the 80s, which is way before you and Mitch, Ryan, but you had like the greatest show on turf. Well, that was Warner and the guys, but that was this spread offense. You had Mouse, I think it was Mouse Davis back in the 80s, 90s. He was actually the Lions coordinator, and it was just like empty sets, 5 wideouts, Andre Ware, everything was kind of like the air raid. A lot less running the ball. That stuff just kind of comes and goes. And yes, the pass game is back to, you look at it, the receivers are the big breadwinners next to the quarterbacks more than running backs. But, the bygone era of like Barry Sanders and just before him, Walter Payton and, the Emmitt Smiths and the Thurman Thomases and like those guys, that era, I think will come back eventually. I really do think it will come back. Everything kind of ebbs and flows, but there's one constant is like if you can if you can get in the trenches and you can beat the other team in the trenches, you're probably going to win games and championships. Like the best teams still in college and pro football have all-world offensive lines, and the Lions have an all-world offensive line. Didn't necessarily play like it until they finally said, we'll take the ball and we will run it, whatever it was, 8-9 times, and right down your throat, and we will punch you into the end zone. Yeah. And that's exactly what they did.
Yep, without a doubt. Great questions.
The excitement of the RPO is fun, but and I'm not saying you should go away from it. I don't want to see 700 yards rushing like the option and no yards passing. I mean, I want balance, but I like to be able to go when you need to control the clock or just to send a message. I love, because you look at it, the Lions' other best drive. I mean, they had the big play to JMO too, but the Lions' other best drive of that game was a steady dose of Jahmyr Gibbs running the ball.
Yeah, I mean, they can come at
drive two
so
or
many
so of the
different
game.
ways.
I mean, it was good, really good.
Yeah, I agree with you. All right, that's second down. Let's get to third, week 2 review. What a week it was in the freaking Big Ten. College football at large. It was an interesting one. But let's stick with the Big Ten first. Start with Friday night. Indiana dusted Western Illinois, whatever. Kind of knew that.
Set a school record, 77 points. I mean, does that count?
Yeah, Duke beats Northwestern 26-20 in double overtime. Feel for Northwestern. It's not going to be a great year for them. They already made a quarterback change. I saw that earlier online. Their defense is okay, but their offense just has nothing. Kind of rough. We already kind of touched on the Boise State.
Yeah, I mean, let's look at Northwestern, just offensively looking at some stats. They had not a horrible 287 yards, but only 158 passing, 129 rushing. Yeah. I mean, their best player is Porter. Their running back had 93 yards. Quarterback 20 for 36 for 158.
Not good.
They just don't. They don't have any big time playmakers, so
no, they don't. Let's rip through the blowouts first, and then we'll get to the close ones. USC smokes Utah State, not surprising.
Nope.
Minnesota wrecked Rhode Island, 48-0.
Rutgers 49.
Rutgers beats Akron pretty good.
49-17. Ohio State 56-0.
Oh my gosh, they look really good.
Against Western. Held Western to 99 yards and they had 697.
That was more like the Ohio State you thought you would see.
Yeah.
Washington smoked Eastern Illinois. Wisconsin struggling.
Eastern Michigan, you mean?
Sorry.
30-9.
Eastern Illinois. Or Eastern Michigan. Wisconsin, their offense is not good.
See, they switched to the air raid away from
what they're used
to with a cadre of amazing running backs for almost 3 decades.
Yeah.
And it's not a style that suits them.
No,
it's just not. I mean,
not
I get the mix, but you can do that without giving up run first. I mean, even look at Michigan State. Michigan State is trying to be run first. Even though they obviously exploded through the air, they had 150 yards or so rushing.
Yeah, they tried to run the ball. It's just sometimes it's challenging.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to the close ones now. Boise State, Oregon. I told you that Oregon does not look great.
No, they do not look.
They're
missing
put up
something.
Yards, but there's something about them. It just seems a little.
But they only had 350 yards, and Boise had 369.
That running back, Genty, 192 yards, 3 touchdowns. He has 9 touchdowns in 2 games.
Yeah, and
pretty unbelievable.
Yeah, and a ton of yards. I mean, Gabriel was only 18 for 20. Well, 18 for 21, 241 with 2 tutties. James is a good running back, 102 yards rushing. But there's just something something's not clicking there for Oregon. Not a great offensive game, but a win's a win, right? Whether it's helped from the refs or not. So,
how about this one? Penn State, 28.5-point favorite. Hardly beats Bowling Green. Like, they should have lost this game. They look horrible.
They should have.
Just once again, you cannot buy the Big Ten is very mediocre. Penn State, they were down 24-20 at half. They were, I think it was 17-0 at one point, maybe something like that. They're just not, or 17-7. I'm sorry. They're just not I don't know. They looked really good against West Virginia. Is West Virginia really that good? I don't know. Bowling Green's not great.
No.
Weird. Illinois, big upset in air quotations over Kansas.
Yeah, it was a good win for them, 23-17. I mean, they had a great ball control drive, and they only had 271 yards of offense. They were opportunistic on defense. I think they had forced three turnovers. They ran the ball well when it mattered down the stretch. In that game, it was kind of flipping between that and the Bama game at the time, which Bama was a lot closer than it should have been for a long time. Colorado, Nebraska, everybody's going to want to anoint Nebraska, and they're ranked now. Nebraska had a good first half, but they also got a gift and a bad
they're also
pick
playing
six.
against pardon my French, the shittiest bunch of idiots in college football. Yeah. Cocky loser faces. I didn't know about this. I heard it on Twitter or something. How the players were screaming at the coaches' faces and screaming at each other, and how
Shedeur Sanders walked off the sideline with 2.5 minutes to go.
That's awesome. Good. I hate him. I hate Dion.
He walked off the sideline with 2.5 minutes to go because they took him out and they were losing. And what kind of message does that send? Like maybe stop lauding them, media, but it's like the media lauding the liberals, right? Like it's the same idea. They're lauding bad
Dion
behavior.
Told them to.
Yeah, bad behavior. It's disgusting. And I will say, Raiola, for all the fact that he wants to be Mahomes, that's kind of weird and creepy if you ask me, but whatever. He's got a great arm and he can change the arm angles and stuff, but he's a freshman. I'm not here to say that I would trade Childs for him, to be honest. I don't think Colorado's very good. I think Nebraska's definitely improved. Their defense was pretty good. I think Rule's a really good coach. I think Nebraska's on their way to probably winning 7 or 8 games this season for sure. We picked 8-4. And we picked them to beat Colorado. Colorado's dog meat. They went 4-8 last year. They're going to be lucky to win 4 games this year with the schedule that they have. So I don't think you can put a whole lot of stock in that. I just don't at this point in time think you can put a ton of stock into that.
No. We'll see. I mean, they have an easy schedule for a while, so they can pile up the dubs, and then Ohio State's going to do the litmus test.
Yeah, they got Northern Iowa, then Illinois. Well, Illinois.
It's not bad.
Purdue, Rutgers, not a horrible first start before their first bye, but then you got
Iowa State.
Iowa State. Iowa first. I have this stat written down.
Lost at home.
They had won 53 straight, went up 13 plus.
That's crazy.
In a game, and they lost that game. They were up, I think
it was 13-0 at half.
13-0 and 17-7 maybe, 17-3, 13-0.
No, 6. They only scored 19 points.
19, so
16-7 probably.
Whatever. They were up 13 points at some point in time. So 13-0 at half. And then it was whatever it was after that. It must have been 16-7. Yeah, whatever it was. Regardless, Iowa had some head-turning stats last week on things they hadn't done in a while.
Ran the ball well this week. That's about it.
Not like Iowa to not necessarily close a close game like that, especially at home. So we'll remain to be seen what happens there. Interestingly, I think we both picked Iowa last week. You might have picked Iowa State. In our original picks for the season, we picked Iowa losing to Iowa State.
Yeah.
So we had that right for our picks to start the season. And then let's see who was
with the gut. We left it for 2. There's only 2 left, and it's the 2 in-staters.
So I have one question. I don't give me this whole their roster is turned over and they're growing pains or whatever. Bullshit. Name me the last national champion who has left the cupboard completely bare the year after they won the national championship. I mean, who has been this visibly bad on offense a year removed from a national championship? There's a reason for that. There's a reason they didn't get a Dylan Gabriel or one of the good quarterbacks that was out on the market. Even the kid who's the backup right now at Washington, right, who was from UCLA and is from Michigan. There's a reason they didn't get these guys, and they have a 0-star. Great story, no question. He had leukemia, whatever. And then this other guy who can run is basically a running back. He has no arm. There's a reason. And that reason is because coaches are talking amongst the recruiting cycle of what's going to happen in Michigan, and no amount of money is getting kids to give up and go to Michigan just to wear the famous winged helmets to only absolutely get castrated by the NCAA when the shoe drops this year. I don't see how that doesn't happen with their roster. It is otherwise inexcusable that a program like Michigan, arguably, they're not arguably, the winningest program of all time, arguably the most storied program of all time, you're not only months off of a national championship, you're coming off of a 3-year stretch, aided by cheating or not, that was
Historic.
Unbelievable. And you're telling me you don't have enough dudes to compete against Texas? Texas made you look silly at home. Texas outspeeded you. They out-schemed you. They outplayed you. They outclassed you. It wasn't even close. This was like Brady Hoke meets Rich Rod
Yeah, it was
Michigan
bad. It was a
football. This was like
clown car.
Jake Rudock Michigan, Spate Michigan. This was how, if I'm a Michigan fan, I'm asking how, coming off of a natty and all those great years, we didn't have a pipeline ready to go. And or didn't also use, the recruiting or the transfer portal better.
Not well.
I mean, they got a couple good offensive linemen, but they went from having the best offensive line in college football for the last 4 years to having
good.
nothing.
They have one.
They have
their
no
best
quarterback.
Their best receiver is a tight end that looks like he could care less.
Right, he had a
Holding on the ball
fumble.
like a loaf of bread.
Yeah.
You got the anti-Semite at running back. That Dan, according to Gus. Screw you, Gus. This dude's trash.
The other
Their
guy,
best running back's Mullings. Honestly, he's better than him.
he's a better running
Warren
back. So.
sucks. And I see Michigan fans asking like, "Oh, you got to play." If he's your best option, there's no way that these other guys are better than if they're playing this guy. You want Jack Tull as your quarterback? Good luck with that. You want Orgy as your quarterback? Good luck with that. You want a true freshman as your quarterback? Good luck with that behind that offensive line.
Yeah.
You have no receivers. You have your defense. It got kind of manhandled by Texas offensive line. Michigan does have a good defensive line. They have some.
Yep,
I mean, Will
they do.
Johnson's very good. Makari Page very
Graham.
good. Grant and Graham are really good.
Yep.
Josiah Stewart really good. The rest of it is like they have a good kicker. Zavada's a good kicker. That's about it.
Yeah.
Sherman Moore looks clueless on the side. It looks like freaking Mel Tucker meets Bobby Williams meets Rich Rod.
And look, I'm not saying this.
I don't have a contract more.
I don't like Michigan. That's abundantly clear. I don't like Michigan. Put that aside. If
They're
I'm a
not
Michigan
good.
fan,
Not
I
good.
am pissed that my team is this bad coming off of the last 3 years we've had in the national championship we've had. Answer me that. Don't make excuses. Don't tell me, well, the roster's turnover. Well, isn't that the coach's job to make sure the roster doesn't turn over? And I don't buy guys came for Harbaugh, whatever. Okay, some of that maybe, but I don't buy that. It's not like 700 guys transferred out. This is a recruiting thing. Michigan doesn't have a pipeline like filled up with recruits. And you can only fill so many gaps with transfers because there's not that many high D1 to high D1 transfers out there. There's a handful, but mostly it's lower level guys moving up or higher level guys that aren't good enough to cut it moving down.
Right.
So,
All right, that's the Skunk Bears. Michigan State, pleasant surprise to all of us.
Fun trivia question for you. Who is the only other Michigan State coach to win his Big Ten debut?
I know the answer to this.
I asked Dave and Kristen, they didn't know. And then they gave me the throw up with the answer. It was Jonathan Smith's namesake, John L. Smith. In his first year, which was his best year at Michigan State.
Yeah.
I'm not making a comparison by making that. I'm just stating a fact that Jonathan Smith did something rare for a Michigan State coach, is that he won his Big Ten coaching debut, and it was on the road. Michigan State was an 8.5 to 9.5 point dog.
Got behind early.
Neither of us picked them to win. I picked them to cover.
Got behind early.
Got behind early and answered time after time.
Answered
after time.
every mistake that they made. I mean, Childs, was he perfect? No, absolutely not. Threw 3 picks. The one kind of slipped out of his hand, bad protection, whatever. Couple sailed on him, just didn't put the ball in the right spot. But he learned.
And the one would be a touchdown. The rest of the
it
season.
inside, yeah.
And Maryland went right down and scored, and he answered. And he had 2 outstanding end of half 2-minute drill to get Michigan State field goals that gave them the lead at the half and gave them the lead at the end of the game.
He's looked in command of the offense. It was
he
night
looked
and day
confident
from last week. And Maryland's a decent defense, not great.
Ran
not
a couple
world
times.
beaters, but Michigan State ran the ball decently. Carter had a couple long runs, so did KLA. The line is kind of patchwork right now. Phillips out for the season. But they held up okay.
Another DB out for
Some
the season in
penalties.
Still 10 penalties. They're the second most, or they're the worst, second worst in penalty yards in the NCAA. They got some things to show.
The receivers play a lot better. Foster's better. Glover was better. He got a little dinged up, but Nick Marsh, the guy is going to be an absolute stud.
Yeah. And by the way, look around the NFL. Naylor, Reed, Keon all went off, and then K9 had a great game too. So. And none of that is attributable to Mel, but those are
D'Antoni.
Marsh is in that,
except for Keon.
Marsh is in that ilk. Speed, size, obviously is a little bit of enough of a tactician on his routes. Glover went down and Gates had been battling an ankle. He came in and made a big catch. I thought Michigan State did a better job looking at the tight ends early. They got Childs into much more of a rhythm. They popped a couple of decent runs, no huge runs, but enough to keep it honest. They still have some things to shore up front.
Yeah.
They've had some injuries. 3 defensive backs already.
Defensive back injuries. That's always what happens at Michigan State.
Yeah, it sounds like the ASU transfer is Reed.
Ed Woods.
Woods, yeah, sounds like he just got dinged and he should probably be back for Prairie View. Hey, if we rest him for Prairie View, fine. Get him ready for BC. Jonathan Kim, misses a 55-yarder at the end of the first half, arguably because he probably saw the guy coming out of the corner of his eye who was offsides, and he just drills the next one. Yeah, drills the next one.
As soon as he kicked it, he was celebrating. He knew it was in. That was sweet.
Changed field position. Michigan State not perfect at all, but they made the strides between week 1 and week 2.
Growth is all you can ask for.
Prairie View, barring an absolute disaster, should be a win. And then you go to Boston College, and BC's got to play at Missouri this weekend, so they're ranked now, but that's not going to be easy regardless of what happens in that game for BC this week. But that's a chance for Michigan State to start 4-0 before they kind of hit the gauntlet part of their schedule. And build a tremendous amount of confidence. And hey, even after this week, get that win, and you're halfway to bowl eligibility, which is honestly the goal as your program is trying to kind of rebuild up after a couple of crappy years in a row. So,
and Jonathan Smith, Michigan State gets down and then back up. The ebbs and flows in this game, get down late, made some dumb mistakes. And Jonathan Smith, preaches resilience.
Yeah, resilient is his word,
and that's just being and sticking with it. And they did that. That's I said to you the other day. If that was Michigan State last year or 2 years ago, they lose that game by 2+ touchdowns. They get blown out. Mm-hmm. This is a different team with different coaches that have coached and preached confidence and being resilient. And I love it. And Jonathan Smith outcoached Mike Loxley in this game. A guy he's not a great coach, but he's been coaching the Big Ten for a decent amount of years. So,
and
it's positive.
Here's
very positive.
Here's growth. A key quote. Chris sent me this. Everybody is much more connected, Halliday said. Even though we have 61 new guys, we are playing for each other a lot more. You can see it on defense with the way people run to the ball. The offense has got our back. We've got their back. You can just feel it. We feed off of each other's energy. And that's evident. Even the way Michigan State, I said, is as pedestrian, as mundane as no duh, as the way they covered the last play of the game when you knew it was just going to be like lateral after lateral after lateral. Michigan State never got out of their lanes. They never did anything but keep the ball in front of them. Yep. There's discipline there again, and there's that resilience. Like Jonathan Smith said it perfectly after the game. There is no such thing as a perfect football game. Aiden Childs had three interceptions. He also had 3 touchdown passes and 363 yards, which is a top 10 passing performance for a Michigan State quarterback. Marsh was 2 yards from breaking the freshman record, which I think was set by Ricky White against Michigan by a true freshman for yards in a game. And he had 154 of those yards in the fourth quarter. So clutch time catches. I thought Carter ran the ball harder and better. I thought he looked a little bit better. I thought the line blocked a little bit better. I think one of the big things, and I didn't notice it as much in the opener, but Michigan State's offensive penalties in the opener, the few that they had, weren't truly false starts or whatever. It's this new rule where you have to be behind the center of or whatever, you have to be above the midsection, right?
Yeah.
Or in front of the midsection of the center. It burned the Chiefs a bajillion times the other night.
Yeah.
So, super interesting, but very, very happy. Obviously, again, I'm going to have to do that homework, and I'll try to bring it next week. Or Chris, you look it up and tell me. But that last time for Spartan fans that we got that quadra, or the, what do you call it in horse racing? It's the
something super trifecta.
Super trifecta of Michigan State winning, Michigan not only losing in this case, but getting absolutely hammered. Notre Dame, we'll talk about them in a second. Laughable, like the Marshall game a couple years ago,
right.
Losing. And
then, that was horrible.
And then
one of the worst losses I've seen.
Yeah, and then and the refs screwed Northern Illinois there too. They were trying to kill clock and score a touchdown at the end, and they marked them short on a 3rd and short that caused them to have to kick. It was clearly a first down.
Yeah.
But anyway, and then the Lions winning.
It was a good weekend.
We got to look that up to see, because that superfecta does not happen very often. So proud of Michigan State. I've got a couple things. I got my Big Ten power rankings and my grades, unless you got anything else.
No, just do that quick.
College football. Tennessee was the only other ranked game. They looked really good.
Yeah, they smoked NC State.
So my power rankings, I kept Northwestern at 18. I mean, they had a tough loss. They weren't that impressive in week 1. Somebody's got to be last. UCLA, I've got them down 2 slots just because they didn't play. Minnesota at 16, kept them the same. Indiana, I moved up 2 spots, mostly for putting 77 points up. I don't care if it is against a JV team. It's still a lot of points. Purdue, they dropped 2 slots to 14 because they didn't play. Michigan dropped 6 slots for being hammered. I've got them 13th, guys. I don't think they're better than any of these other teams, I'm going to say, at this point in the season. Maryland, I've got them 12th, down from 8th. For a home Big Ten loss as a touchdown plus favorite. Rutgers, I kept at 11, took care of business like they should. Washington, 10, took care of business like they should. Wisconsin, their offense has been unimpressive, but they stay a solid 9 for me. I have Michigan State moving up 5 spots to 8. They're first place in the Big Ten.
First place,
I can say that right now.
Didn't have that in my bingo card.
Solid Big Ten road win. Illinois up 7 slots for the biggest jump this week for a nice top 25 win. Again, we'll see if Kansas maintains that kind of goodness all year, but still a good win for Illinois. Iowa to 6, down 2 slots for the home loss and the blown lead. Oregon at 5, but I still think they're on shaky ground. Nebraska, I moved up 4 spots to number 4, but it was a crappy Colorado team, so we'll see. And then I left Penn State at 3. Ohio State still 2 and USC 1. USC based off that first week win, but that's my current power rankings in the Big Ten. And then let's see here. So then my grades that I started last week. A is for awesome. Texas, Northern Illinois, outstanding. That's what it's all about in college football. That's why you don't take any games for granted. Nick Marsh, obviously, and Jeremiah Smith. That's going to be a battle for Big Ten Offensive Player of the Year between those two guys. Or freshman. Or
Offensive Freshman of the Year.
Or Offensive Player of the Year, maybe. B is for better than expected. I forgot to put anybody in there. I guess, Illinois, you could say, Illinois was a little bit better than expected. I think nobody else really in the Big Ten is standing out to me right now for better than expected. I think Tennessee may be for better than expected because they absolutely laid the hammer to North Carolina State.
Yep.
C is for, come on, man, Penn State. Ryan talked about it a little bit before. Like, inexcusable to win by 7 against a MAC team at home. But then again, Notre Dame lost to a MAC team at home. So, Iowa for blowing that lead. Auburn,
womp, womp.
Peyton Thorne, 4 picks.
Gosh,
that was bad.
Dodged a bullet.
D is for duly noted. Michigan State for that road win. Nebraska, again, it looked a little bit more like traditional Nebraska, not a great second half. But and then Illinois with their first ranked win since 2019. F is for fraud. Colorado, Notre Dame, Michigan, and Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur Sanders is probably the biggest fraud of them all. I'm tired of this hype of him being the best quarterback. He's not. I thought it was laughable how Dion, was like, I'm going to call out my offensive line because I know you guys are all thinking it. What a bad look. Like, circle the wagons on your team. No wonder guys leave. Who was the Michigan State player that was good? That Boyd?
But
left to go to Colorado, and then he didn't even make it. So, like, all that stuff you read about them that everybody's like, oh, it's not true. It's just a couple of whiners. True. It's true. They're not whiners.
Yep.
So,
all right. Let's get to fourth down. Week 3 preview and picks.
Let's do first. We got to do our word from our presenting sponsor. Team Anders Realty will help you find the home that fits your wants and needs, and they make the process simple and fun along the way. The Anders have served thousands of clients for 30-plus years in the West Michigan area and are here to serve you today. Learn more at teamanders.com.
All right. Let's do picks. Let's get.
How'd we do last week?
You went 7-9. I went 9-7.
Oh, man. I thought I did better than that.
No.
I picked Michigan State, or at least to cover. You didn't.
We picked it straight.
Oh, we did?
Yeah.
Well, I said they would cover, and you didn't think they'd cover.
No, I didn't.
That should count for something.
No. All right. Big game, big noon kickoff. Bama travels to Wisconsin. 15.5 is the spread I saw. I could see it going either way. I'm going to say Wisconsin backdoor covers this, but it's going to be like a 24-10 bludgeoning where Alabama's going to control this game.
Yeah, Bama didn't look that
Wisconsin's
great. I mean, Bama didn't look great for sure against USF the other day. I think USF was super one-dimensional. All they really could do was run the ball. 16 or 15.5 or whatever is a lot of points going on the road to a place like Wisconsin. I haven't seen anything from Wisconsin that tells me that they're going to hang that tough. I think Alabama gets the late score to cover that spread.
You think Bama covers?
Yep.
Okay. Go to the big house. Maybe it'll be semi-empty. You never know. Michigan versus Arkansas
Blew a 23-game home win streak.
Butch Jones and Arkansas State. The Crier comes back to his home state. 24 is the spread. I'm skeptical to pick Michigan to cover it.
I don't think they can score 24 points.
I think they're going to cover it hard. I think they're going to win like 27-3.
Can they score that many points?
I don't know. I'm just going to say they're.
That's my struggle. 24 points. I'm going to say Arkansas State covers that because
30 against, what's it called?
Yeah, but that was with a pick 6. I mean, I just don't. I just don't see it. I just don't think they. I mean, Arkansas State obviously is not as good on defense as Texas, but I just don't. Prove me wrong that they can score that many points. It's like the Iowa adage. I just don't. I need to see it before I'll believe it.
Be pretty funny. Central Michigan travels to Illinois. 17.5 is spread. I think Illinois covers this easily. Central lost to frickin' FIU by like 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, who Indiana smoked. I agree. I think Illinois covers that spread.
All right. Civil War, Oregon State. 14.5 is the spread. I'm saying Oregon finally covers.
What do we know about Oregon State so far? I mean, they lost a lot, obviously.
I know nothing about it.
I'll go with that, too. I mean, Oregon has been... You got to think that they're going to wake up. I mean, I guess we just keep picking them until they can't.
Right.
Until they keep proving us wrong.
Michigan State versus Prairie View A&M. There's no spread out there, so I came up with my own of 34.5. I think Michigan State wins this game 49-10. Covers.
The only reason I think they might not cover is because if they do what we hope they do, which is to blow them out in the first half and they play a bunch of other guys in the second half. But I think they can win by 5 touchdowns. I mean, I think it's like a, 45-10 type of game. I can agree with that.
Notre Dame travels to West Lafayette, Indiana. 10.5 is the spread.
I would not want to play Notre Dame.
I think they're going to be pissed off.
I think Notre Dame's offense is a real struggle right now, even with Riley Leonard.
I think Notre Dame wins by 2 touchdowns plus.
But 10.5, yeah. Purdue had that dreaded second week bye after putting a layup on Indiana State. I don't know. I think if this was the other way around and Notre Dame had pulled that out against Northern Illinois, I would say maybe it would continue. But I just don't. We don't have enough of a book on Purdue yet. I'm going to agree. I think Notre Dame covers that.
All right. Nevada travels to Minnesota. 14.5 is the spread.
Nevada's 1-2 already.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Minnesota.
Minnesota's got a really good defense, and really they should be 2-0, right? They have a good kicker that missed 2
Chippies.
very makeable kicks against North Carolina. Their offense woke up a little bit last week. I think they can definitely hold their own on defense. I think they'll cover that.
All right. The Apple Cup, Washington State.
The Fighting Jason Hansen.
That's right, versus Washington. It's a pretty close spread. I'm going to say Washington State wins this game. I don't know why.
Yeah, Washington, what do you have it? It's like 4.5 or something like that?
Yeah, we're just going straight on it. I think Washington State wins this. Cougs get it done.
So are we going on the spread or are you going straight
up?
All right, I'm going to go with Washington. Because it's at Washington.
Troy versus Iowa. 22 is the spread. Troy's not a terrible team.
0-2 though.
I'm going to say Iowa covers this. They're going to win 23-0. 22 is the spread.
22.
23-0.
They came back to earth against a decent team last week in Iowa State. Oh, that's against all my principles to say Iowa will cover a 20-plus point spread, but I'll agree with it just because
they're 1-0 with that spread like that.
Yeah, true.
I just made this spread up also. Nebraska versus Northern Iowa.
Fighting Kurt Warner.
38.5.
Northern Iowa will cover that.
I think Nebraska's going to cover it. Couple more here. Wow, what a fun game this is. Indiana, UCLA.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Eastern Illinois.
That's next.
Indiana, UCLA might be actually decent.
I think Indiana's going to win. We're going straight up on this one. I think they're going to win. I think I picked
Indiana's
UCLA
favored by 3.
I think Indiana's going to win. I do.
I'm going to go UCLA. I think that long road
I hope
trip,
UCLA wins.
Indiana's going to wet their pants because they're going to the Rose Bowl for the first time ever.
What's that?
I think they might have been
Eastern Illinois versus Northwestern, 20.5. I think Northwestern slightly covers this. Just
I agree. I mean, maybe they'll wake up, but maybe they'll also lay an egg. I don't know. I'll go Northwestern.
This would be a good basketball game. Maryland versus UVA.
UVA's 2-0. Surprisingly, I think Maryland bounces
Maryland's
back
going to win
and wins this.
Yeah, UVA sucks. Last one. Detroit Lions face the Buccaneers, rematch of the divisional round last year.
Back-to-back playoff.
Yeah, the Bucs they played well against Washington, but I think the Lions win this game. I think they bounce back and have a good performance.
I'll go. It's at Ford Field, right?
Yeah.
I think Ford Field's a tough place to play, and I think they'll get that. I'm trying to think. Look at for the record. This week, I don't see anything different than what we picked to begin with. Well, we both picked Washington to beat Washington State at the beginning of the year, so you're going against that.
Yep.
Otherwise, and then last week we both to begin the season we had Michigan State losing to Maryland, and obviously that didn't happen. And then we had Illinois losing to Kansas, and that didn't happen. Otherwise, it was a good week for us against our overall original picks. So
that's good. All right, let's finish this thing with a sprint. This came out today saying they will have Full Swing Season 3 on Netflix.
Love it.
So what golfer would you want to see on the new new season?
I don't think they've really featured Xander too much.
No, that's what I said. I would like to see him. I want to see what he's all about. That would be very interesting.
I think so too.
Worst NFL team through week 1.
Huh. Good question.
I'm going Panthers. They are horrible.
Oh my gosh, yeah. They got 47-10 was the score, was it?
Yeah, to the Saints, who are no great team.
I mean, every other game was reasonably close. I think Atlanta played horribly.
Yeah, that looked bad.
You had a bunch. Yeah, that was a blowout. The Giants are probably right there too. I think it's a pillow fight between the Giants and the Panthers.
The Giants could be up there too. Oh,
because Minnesota's playing with Sam Darnold, who 75 teams haven't wanted.
Woof.
That's
all I can say.
And he looked good against them.
It kind of goes on your question, your F for
fraud.
Who's the biggest fraud of week 2? I'm saying the Fighting Irish.
Yeah. The biggest fraud? Oh yeah. The Irish. I mean, after that huge road win against Texas A&M, which, let's face it, Texas A&M is usually overblown in the preseason, but still in that environment and everything, you're like, okay, that's a legit win on the road. And okay, you're down for a little bit of a letdown, but to lose at home to a MAC team.
Like, I thought they might not cover 28.5.
Right. But
Whatever.
yeah, that's ugly.
I came up with this one at the gym today. Over under for remaining years left on Deion Sanders' tenure as Colorado's coach.
You want me to set the over under?
Yeah.
Half.
I'm gonna say 1.5. I think he is next year, and then he's just gonna. Oh, my health is no good with his cowboy hat.
Yeah, I think they go 3-9 or 4-8 again this year, and I think he walks.
Well, that'd be hilarious. All right, that's 190.
Is that 4 round questions already?
Yeah, that's 4.
Oh, that's crazy.
Quick ones. It was a little quick this week. Appreciate you guys listening. Let us know some mailbag questions you would like us to discuss or anything else. We appreciate you guys listening. Enjoy the good weather this week and another great week of football. Go Spartans, go Lions, go Tigers.
And sticking with my rotation of quotes from Chicken Soup for the Soul Inside Basketball, as the great Abe Lincoln once said, encouragement is oxygen to the soul. Good work can never be expected from a worker without encouragement. No one ever lived without it.